This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a very big daily wrestling news update. One of the biggest pieces of news for the day is Janelle Grant, who recently lost a motion to compel discoveries in her lawsuit against Vince McMahon, which we're still waiting to see if it's going to get thrown out or if it's going to get moved to arbitration where it is supposed to be heard. Because with the agreement that she signed that apparently she hasn't adhered to, any issues with it are supposed to happen in arbitration rather than a legal situation. But apparently next week she's going to speak at the Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence. There's a few things I find weird about this woman. First of all, she's a former actress, okay? Let's just play this small clip of her.
Nobody's allowed in without an escort, sir.
So again, she's a former actress. Now, don't you find it weird for a former actress? She only has this picture on the internet. Maybe one more other than this. By the way, she's in her late 40s now. Don't you guys find that weird? Because I did a report on this earlier, and some people are like, oh, well, why are you taking McMahon's side? I'm not taking McMahon's side. I just don't find her credible. I find it very weird that someone that's been an actress in movies, when my father is a very private person, he's got numerous pictures on the internet. How can an actress have like two pictures on the whole internet? I find that suspicious. I actually talked to a lawyer friend of mine today, and he had some interesting notes too. Like an average paralegal in Connecticut now makes about 69,000 a year, or about 33 an hour. She was making around 200,000 apparently. It started at 100,000, went to 200,000. Her settlement was actually for $3 million. So for your average paralegal salary, she was getting 43.7 years worth of salary. She claims she was paid about $1 million. That's a lot of money. She was paid higher just to not speak about this than she would have made in 50 years of doing that job. That's basically a lot of money. This happened with other women. They all didn't talk about their NDAs, and they were all getting the more money because I believe she was supposed to have 3-ish million total, but the terms of her settlement were disclosed, so it canceled it. So it's just funny that this is a woman that never went to the police. She actually started the legal civil process rather than go to the police. After this, by the way, was a numerous year relationship. And for a lot of the time, maybe all the time, she was living with another guy. This is not a squeaky clean person. I do not believe for a second this is a squeaky clean person. She basically the office slut in a lot of ways because she was also with Johnny Ace, the talent relations guy. And again, if it is true, which it hasn't been proven, this is just a claim that Vince McMahon crapped on her and then made Johnny Ace have sex with her. Why didn't she go to the police that night? Why did she keep working there? She has a legal background. She knows her rights. I mean, it seemed like this basically ended when the situation was done because she was also getting gifts and stuff. She was treated overall with the favors. I mean, it seemed like things were going well for her for everything she was getting. Well, all this stuff was going on for years and years and years. It's not like this was a 1 or 2 time thing. Anyways, the reason why, it's not because I like what's Vince McMahon ever done for me? Other than offer me a job at one point that was ripped away from me in 2009 when Abdullah the Butcher screwed me over by infecting me with the disease that caused my contract to be taken away. And I never got another opportunity after I was painted with that Hep C brush, something that still affects me to this day. So I have no reason to stick up for Vince McMahon. I just don't find her credible. I find her to be a gold digger. Ashley Mazzaro, I was going. No, it's been in. I've looked this up, by the way. I was going to talk about the Jeffrey Epstein wrestling stuff because some wrestling stuff has come up in the files. Okay, there's texts about Mr. Fuji, Bruno Sammartino, and Pedro Morales' death, just that they were wrestling fans. Ashley Mazzaro's name came up with some connection, but as far as I can tell, there's no direct connection to her doing anything wrong. She may have tried to get a job doing something for someone who worked on the island, from my understanding, and it never ended up working out. And she didn't, to my knowledge, there's redacted stuff in it, but it doesn't seem like at any point she was actually doing any work. She may have been considered to do some type of work, but it never ended up happening. I actually did maybe her last interview before she killed herself. A lot of weird stuff happened with her. She may have literally been raped on one of these WWE overseas tours. And I believe her a lot more than this one, Janelle Grant. I believe Ashley Mazzaro more because when I met her, she seemed very sweet and she ended up killing herself. That's someone with a lot of trauma. And it didn't seem like she got any gifts lavished on her either. If it was true, apparently WWE investigated it and found that it wasn't. But I guess she also didn't complain about it at the right time, possibly, or may have complained to the wrong person, such as Johnny Ace, who I do believe Johnny Ace is a scumbag. By the way, I totally believe he's a scumbag. I've met him. He's one of the biggest assholes I've ever met in wrestling. I believe that he's total scum. And he's even switched from Vince McMahon's side to Ashley's side to back and forth. I think, or not Ashley's, but Grant's side. He's like not a trustworthy person. And by the way, Logan Paul had the Bellas on. Johnny Ace is the only reason they're in the Hall of Fame. He used to decide who gets in the Hall of Fame, and Johnny Ace used to be their father-in-law. He didn't even ask. Here's the kind of questions you get on Logan Paul. With the Bellas. Oh, I've been a wrestler in WWE half the time that AJ Styles was a wrestler before his retirement because he was in there 10 years, I was in there 5 years. That's the kind of idiot he is. So he doesn't understand why the wrestling fans don't give him the same respect as AJ, because in his mind, even though he's only done pre-planned matches, and his matches are very choreographed and overproduced, he thinks he's on a similar level to AJ Styles. But anyways, he's doing an interview with the Bellas, doesn't even bring up Johnny Ace, which would have been the most interesting question you could have asked them. In other news, this is sad. I did have a couple WWE matches. One was with this guy, Heidenreich, who is apparently now working at a Walmart. This is a picture of him with a fan that recognized him at a Walmart. I have interviewed Heidenreich a few years ago too. And in that interview, his face is all scarred up and bruised up. It looked like he'd just been beaten up real badly. I mean, the guy made a lot of money. He made a lot of money, obviously didn't save it, because just a few years after he was released in WWE, I wrestled him in Puerto Rico, WWC Puerto Rico. Actually, it may have only been 1 year after, and he had already lost all of his WWE money by that time. And again, I beat him in Puerto Rico. He beat me in WWE, but I got my win back in Puerto Rico. But I remember the big thing about Heidenreich is he would just blow his nose in his shirt whenever he had to blow his nose. He didn't care that he was blowing his nose he wouldn't even turn it to the inside of it. He would just blow his nose on the outside of his shirt. So, interesting character. Nice guy. He definitely doesn't have the political side to him. And he was very stiff. I remember when he clotheslined me on SmackDown, I literally saw stars. But I did tell him, hit me as hard as you want. Hit me as hard as you want. I actually told them that because I wanted to do a good job. I said, hit me as hard as you want with the clothesline. And I remember he did. And I literally saw stars. That is not just a saying. And I had a lot of fun that night. There was 14,000 fans in Edmonton at Rexall Place. Apparently, Braun Breaker's hernia surgery may keep him out of WrestleMania. It's fairly serious surgery. I don't know what supplements he takes or whatever caused that hernia at such a young age, but he'll be back. They're bringing Lesnar back to more of a full-time schedule. Private Party, after not wrestling in AEW for 14 months. They haven't wrestled since January 22nd, 2025. So they've been sitting at home getting paid. This is the easiest job in the world. They literally sat at home for 14 months, making hundreds of thousands a year. They were brought back to all the AEW TV tonight. Tony Khan, honestly, CM Punk, I don't agree with everything CM Punk says, but I agree with him on this, that he does not run AEW like a business, and that AEW will be in business as long as Khan and his billionaire father want to fund it. Because to keep people under contract and not use them for 14 months, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it's not like they're a team that like has any value if you were just to let him go. Like apparently at one point WWE was interested in him. I don't know if they still are or not, but to sit people at home for 14 months, that's just crazy. Apparently Joe Hendry, who's funny, he was more over when he was in TNA. He did an interview sucking up to The Miz for whatever reason, saying Miz might be the most underrated wrestler of all time. No. He's one of the most overrated and spoiled wrestlers of all time. You know what's sad? The Tough Enough that The Miz won, the guy that should have won, that had the most heat, was the guy that got the key lock on Kurt Angle, Daniel Puder. Great heel. He had so much heat that people still talk about wanting to see that match today. And I've interviewed Puder. He gets hate comments every day on those interviews. He has real heat, but because Kurt Angle was mad that he got embarrassed, they never used him. He was supposed to be $1 million Tough Enough. He only ever got 250,000 because the gimmick of that was it was $1 million over 4 years. He only got 250,000 because they only gave him 1 year. And I do think The Miz is just a suck up politician. He's not my style of wrestler at all. And I think it's funny that he has Rene Dupree seconds because his wife was with Rene Dupree before. Did I get angry at getting potatoed? No, Tom, because I told them to potato me. Unlike Knobs, Heidenreich got a normal job. Yeah, I respect guys like Shane Douglas. I find Shane Douglas very flaky and not the most honest in the world, but he went to work at Target. I don't know if he still works at Target. He claimed he was this really smart guy. Where does he go after wrestling isn't paying the bills anymore? He goes to Target. So I don't believe his high education stuff. And also he's done some stuff with me that I don't find that he's the most credible. He's a very flaky guy. But I respect that he went to work at Target when he did money. Heidenreich's going to go work at Walmart. Guys like Knobs and Marty Jannetty, when the autograph sessions dry up, let's get a GoFundMe going from the fans because we're too good to work normal jobs, right? We're too good to take lower pay because we were in WWE 20, 30 years ago. So the fans should just pay for us for the rest of our lives. Who are the 5 worst interviews of all time? Well, we'll put Dark Journey in there. We'll put the Goon in there. We'll put Buff Bagwell hammered out of his mind in there. There's been a bunch. Carlito was giving one-word answers. That was a real tough one. It was like pulling teeth. The Tito Ortiz one was disappointing because that was the most I'd ever paid for one at that point in time, and it didn't uh, get anywhere near the hits that would have paid for it. Those are the ones that come to my head. The New Jack one before he died was disappointing because, first of all, he kind of ripped me off to do the interview. I did it anyways, even though I won't get into it because he's dead. I'm glad I ended up doing it because it was my only chance to interview him, but that was another guy. You get disappointed when it's a guy that doesn't, you're expecting, oh, it's New Jack. He's going to give long, detailed answers. Yes, I'll pay this fee. And then he just gives like yes or no answers because he looked like he was high on something. He was giving very short answers. I remember I actually punched a hole in the door. I was so mad after my New Jack interview that I actually punched a hole in my wall. Just because I was expecting so much more. And like I had sent the deposit to a PayPal that he had claimed was the wrong PayPal. So it's like I lost the deposit and it just doesn't make sense. I couldn't get it back. PayPal didn't tell me it was wrong, but he told me it was wrong. So anyway, I ended up paying way more for it too. So yeah. How does Tommaso Ciampa get to keep his gimmick? I don't know. I don't care. Maybe because it doesn't make any difference at all to WWE. Do I still talk to Renee? No, he's not really the most trustworthy guy either. But apparently some people were telling me I'm in the U.S. I am literally in the U.S. legally, going through the process of getting a green card. And apparently one of the things he said publicly a while ago was, oh, I'm going to get deported. It's like, fuck you. You have no idea how I'm here. So keep your mouth shut. And yes, well, he had a wife. He was talking to a girlfriend I was used to dating. I was dating. What kind of guy is talking to an ex-girlfriend of yours while you're still going out with her? Well, he's married. That breaks the wrestler's code. Do I hate him over it? No, because I don't have anything to do with that person anymore. I just think that's like a bro code you don't cross. Like, I'm not going to message your wife or your girlfriend. Don't message mine. Shane was actually my gym teacher in high school in Beaver, Pennsylvania. Well, there you go. At one point, he was also a high school gym teacher. The best parts of my matches are unpredictable. Yes, you see, that's one thing that I don't like about today's wrestling. They're way too overly choreographed. I heard Demolition. I don't know if I believe this. I think they're still working it. But I recently heard them say they didn't know they were going to be number 1 and 2 at Royal Rumble 89. They would never do that to a tag team today. Never. Just, you're both a team, but we're going to surprise you and you're going to be in there together. But it was good. What they did was good. Unpredictability is good. Brian, did Al Perez make a career in FedEx? Yes. Yes. And Al Perez is one of the nicest wrestlers I've ever met. He's the only wrestler that back when I was doing live interviews, he actually helped me bring all my camera equipment to my car after. No one else has ever helped me clean it up and bring it to my car. And he was getting screwed around in wrestling. He wasn't a suck up. He had a family to support. He ended up working for FedEx, getting a pension, living a happy life. When is Larry coming back on? Larry I'll have on any day. He's one of the nicest guys in wrestling. Yeah, the Ride Dog Buff was hammered for my interview. And then he was mad at me after. And there's another guy, he no-showed our first date. Then the second time he showed up, he was 15 minutes late. And then some of his fans were like, why did you put up the interview when he's drunk in the interview or pilled up or whatever he was? Well, because he had some issue where at that time he couldn't get PayPal. Maybe because he owed money on it. I guess sometimes you can go in the negative, and then if you're paid, it just goes to the negative. So I had to go to the trouble of Western Unioning him money, which at that time cost like $45 extra. Then I paid him a sum of money in American. Then he no-showed the first time. And the second time, he's 15 minutes late, and he actually told me, hey, you're lucky I'm only 15 minutes late. What kind of an asshole says that, other than him? Hey, I'm so disrespectful of your time. You're lucky I'm only 15 minutes late. But I will say this, he's more entertaining drunk than in sober interviews. I'm sick of his Mr. Rogers gimmick. It's very boring. Someone believes the victims. I believe that Vince McMahon did stuff, but I believe when you sign an agreement like that, you're agreeing to it. You're agreeing to the terms of the agreement. You could take him to civil court and take him all the way if you have a strong case, or you could take him to criminal court. But if you sign a settlement agreement, you should abide by the terms of the agreement that you sign. Otherwise, your word means nothing. Did you ever give Abdullah the receipt he deserved? No. If I could get away with it, I would. The receipt he deserves is for me to have tape up my hands, so when I punch someone, like when I punch this guy, my hand doesn't split open, and just beat him to death in a slow, or maybe I should impale him like Vlad the Impaler, have him sit on a large pole and have horses pull his legs apart until he's impaled on a pole. Which how much he weighs, it wouldn't take very long to get impaled. Tom, Molly Holly was very nice. I actually was in the ring with her at a WWE tryout I had around 2005, or a WWE extra job I had. I forget if it was 2005. I think it was. She was very, very nice. Mario Mancini was not nice, the Ragu Overlord. I would never have him on again. He acted very nice on interviews. He comes off very nice. When I met him in person, he's a massive asshole. An absolute massive asshole. And I'll tell you what, okay. Again, I don't like him, and the worst GNW shows that ever took place were the ones that I let Jack Kilby run under my banner. And I regret any association I had with that guy. But one of the mistakes he made was Mario Mancini worked him and Paul Roma to bring him in for a show. And of course, it didn't drop very well with those two. But they were also real pain in the asses to deal with. I mean, I think there was about 300 fans, which isn't bad for the town, but they wanted to be let in early to sign autographs before the rest of the people could come in to sign autographs. Like, they wanted to be like in the lobby before the entrance so the fans could have first crack at getting them autographs first and all this. And there seemed to be all these little attitude issues with them. But here's the issue with Mario. I did an interview with him to promote that show shortly before the show took place. And in that interview, he mentioned he liked to bleed. He mentioned he was very good at bleeding. And after the interview went off the air, I said, oh, you like to bleed? Do you want to bleed in your match that you're having on this show? And he said yes. Right? And again, it's not even my show. I just thought, well, I'm not bleeding on that show. It's always nice to have blood. At least one person bleed on a wrestling show. So there's some color. I don't agree with double blood matches unless there's testing, but a single person blood, why not? So anyways, he said he was agreeable to it. So I bring a blade for him. I actually bought a pack of razor blades. I give it to, I forget if it was Jack, but I had a different dressing room than Mario was in. But I gave it to somebody and I said, hey, give these to Mario. We talked about it on the video. He wanted to bleed in his match. So whoever it it was either Kilby or one of the runners, gave him the blades. And apparently, I was not in the dressing room to see this. I don't think I even saw him after this. But apparently, he like threw the blades across the dressing room and said, "What the hell is this? I never agreed to this, blah, 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 blah." It's like, wait a minute. Why would I make it up that you agreed to blade? Why would I care if you bled or not on the show? And why would I go out and buy you a pack of blades unless you said you were going to blade? That's not something I would make up because it really wouldn't matter. You're just wrestling your students. It's a throwaway match. It was highly disappointing because Paul Roma did jack shit in the match. He didn't take a punch. He didn't give a punch. He literally came there and did nothing. And it's his own students. He wouldn't even help put the students over. So anyways, he has this, maybe it was a student or maybe, I don't even remember who the hell it was, but Paul did nothing in the match. And it was a very boring match. The blood would have added to it. There was no blood. The match sucked. And they were prima donnas. So I can tell you that's why Mario Mancini and Paul Roma never went anywhere. They're real assholes in person. Total assholes. And I don't make that up about people being assholes. I'll tell you who's nice and who's asshole. Do I think Trump will disclose that there is visitors to this planet? Yes, I do. When, I do not know. Someone wants The Rock and Jeff Jarrett to buy WWE. Jeff Jarrett's one of those guys making a ton of money in AEW and not doing anything. Which wrestler was surprisingly tough? Haku and Dan Severn. What I liked about both those guys is they can dish it out and they can take it. Scotty Steiner is the baddest mofo. I'll tell you this, Scott Steiner also worked for me 3 times. He was great to deal with. He even put the guy over that I wanted to get put over 2 times on 2 shows. He put Jeremy Prophet over as a favor to me. There's some people like Coco Beware who will not put guys over. Honky Tonk Man only put 1 guy over once for me out of like the 15 or 20 times he wrestled for me. And it was a giant and it was by count out. So for Steiner to put like an average size guy over to help the company, I really appreciated that. You got to palm him like the Gracies. I don't know which one you're talking about. Again, if you're talking about the Mario Mancini thing, I didn't actually see the temper tantrum. I only heard about it a couple days later. But just I find he's a fake nice guy. Did he at least return the blades? The runner did. Whoever the runner did eventually got it back to Jack, who I think ended up returning them to me. Because a thing of razor blades is very expensive. It's actually quite expensive these days. Someone stopped watching wrestling. I stopped watching wrestling too, other than old-time wrestling. The Honky Tonk Man has been quiet on the shoot scene. What's his asking price? The reason is he's under WWE's Legends deal where there's a clause that he can't do stuff like that without the WWE's approval. So they're basically paying him to keep his mouth shut. So it's probably a good call. Because I remember the last time I made an offer to him, I was in Phoenix and I actually offered him a good amount of money, probably the most I'd ever offered anyone, because he's so successful with interviews. Hey, my one interview with Honky has almost 5 million views, my 3-hour one, which is a record for shoot interviews. Oh, by the way, I'll say one more thing about Maven. It's been like 2 weeks now since he ran his mouth about me about something that happened 8 or 9 months ago that I didn't even remember, and he left out the part that the thing that I originally brought up was about Just Incredible, him acting like Just Incredible doesn't rip off fans when he does. That was why I brought him up. And then I sent him an email a few weeks ago. Hey, if you have a problem with me, I'm having an event August 1st. Do you want to wrestle me? He doesn't even answer me, yes or no. What a pussy. Or do you really have to think about it? Because, man, if you're going to get, like, I'll answer you guys right now what you want. I think Britt Baker will come back to AEW? She's in AEW. She's one of the people that they're not using. She just gets paid to sit at home because MJF's wife does not like her. And MJF is under AEW contract. But, like, Maven, I just lost respect for him when he, like, gives a rebuttal 8 months later. And then leaves out the main thing that I brought up, which is why you're making Just Incredible out like he doesn't rip people off when he does. And he brought up whatever issue I had with him. And then he doesn't even answer my email. You got a problem with me? Step into the ring with me. Or if you're going to rebuttal me, if I'm going to offend you, give an answer right away. Don't wait 8 months till the whole thing is blown over and then leave out the main thing that I want to know. Anyways, he might have a better view per video average than me, but he's not on Facebook at all. And I get like 20 million views a month on Facebook right now. And overall, if you add up all my views, I do pretty damn good for all the videos I have on my channel. So for the people that are saying, oh, I'm jealous of Maven, actually, if you look up the totals, I'm doing pretty damn good. And my videos are genuine, honest. It's just me and you guys shooting. They're not pre-planned. There's no big production. I don't take 8 months to do them. They're just done. Anyways, guys, thank you for loving me. Have a great night. Let me know what you think of what we